Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
All right. Got a little video request. Shout out to you. Now, this video I've seen before. It's called Jordan versus LeBron, the best GOAT comparison. And in my opinion, it's the best argument I've seen for Jordan over LeBron. Even though I think most are sufficient enough. This is just the most comprehensive to where, like, hey, LeBron fan who thinks he's better than MJ, please argue against this video. Like, I dare you to. For me, maybe it's the way it's edited or something, right? I'm not an expert at the sport. Maybe it's the way it's edited or whatever, but it seems like just visually and what I'm hearing and all that shit, it seems like it seems fair and all that shit. It seems like the best version or one of the best arguments for why Jordan is over LeBron, in my opinion. So, yeah, spoiler alert. Jordan ends up winning this one. But I think you knew that already. All right, here we go. Jordan versus LeBron, the best GOAT comparison from Danger Productions. Here we go. It's well made too, man. Pretty well made for like just a YouTube video. Right, brag for yourself. Oh, the fucking aura of fucking the Chicago Bulls in the 90s.
Not as euphoric, bro.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're just waiting to see like the drama around the guy instead of like, holy shit, we're watching Tom Brady right now, like that type of thing. Like, oh fuck, we're watching the best player in real time type of shit. We're watching Stone Cold in his
right here. That's all he knows how to do.
Oh my god, that's Uber LeBron, bro, in Miami. That's super Uber LeBron. But he doesn't have that, man. The finesse. The Derek Jeter. Doesn't have that shit.
Jordan versus LeBron.
That's
LeBron
loud.
versus Jordan. It's a debate that has captured the public's attention for the last several years, especially after this moment in 2016, when LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors to win the third championship of his career. In LeBron's own words,
that one right there made me the greatest player of all time. That's what I felt.
Cap.
I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
but did it?
Everyone.
Since that moment, simply icing on LeBron's cake? Or is LeBron destined to finish his career in Michael Jordan's shadow? We've all heard the arguments from LeBron supporters.
He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more durable.
And from Jordan supporters.
I'm sorry to pause it. Nick Wright is a full of shit, contrarian ass, fucking. He's doing it to make his own name famous type shit. In my opinion. If I had to get, like, that's what I think Nick Wright does. I don't think he's a real person, like, saying real opinions.
What about Skip, Jordan?
I think Skip is a psycho in his beliefs about what he says. I think he believes what he says. About Michael Jordan, about Tom Brady, about these athletes, I think he believes what he says. So much so that if he might be wrong about something, he will, like, narcissistically defend it as hard as he fucking can to make it true. That's what I think of Skip Bayless. I think he's different. I think Nick Wright saw the Skip Bayless phenomenon or model or whatever and tried to copy it in a different direction. Because, like, hey, there's a whole lane here of you could just do this, you know, LeBron James dick riding or whatever athlete dick riding. It could be controversial. You can be counter to the main argument and then be, you know, embellish about it and get somewhere with it. Make a career out of it, even though he's not really saying much. But all right, here we go.
Was merely 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals.
But the GOAT debate isn't
I
as
think
simple
Skip
as the
actually
pundits
believes
make
that.
it seem.
He's-
There are a number of factors relevant in determining the greatest basketball player of all time. In fact, I would say there are 5 things that really matter when determining the GOAT of any sport. These criteria are, in no particular order, accomplishments, longevity, winning, statistics, and what we'll refer to in this video as the eye test. And to be the GOAT, you don't need to be the best in any specific category, but you need to be pretty good across the board. So simply winning 7 championships, like Robert Horry did, isn't enough to get you into the conversation. When we're finished with this video, it'll be plainly obvious that one guy comes out on top. But before we get started, I want to clarify that this is not a comparison of legacies. It's about who was the better basketball player. If we were talking about legacies, Jordan's is nearly untouchable. Not only did he lead basketball to global popularity, he helped transform Nike into an empire, changed the way players played and how they dressed, and he even made it cool for guys to be bald. And while those things certainly contribute to MJ's iconic status, they don't make him a better player on the court. So let's evaluate the criteria that matter.
Agreed,
And we'll
KJ.
start with individual
Take a note.
accomplishments. Take a look. Jordan had more regular season MVPs, twice as many finals MVPs, 9 more scoring titles, and several more selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, including once being named Defensive Player of the Year. LeBron has more All-Star appearances, but that's largely due to his having played more seasons.
Means nothing.
Let me stop there because you need to add some here. LeBron has 4 Finals MVPs now, right? Like this video's outdated, basically. I'm just adding that in there. Everything else,
Yeah.
I think, stays the same, except for the All-Star team. There's more of those for LeBron, but once
I
again,
got like 20 more.
yeah, that's just seasons played as opposed to like you're
He's
a
the
more
All-Star,
all-star like now. All right.
In fact, when taking into account retirements and major injuries, Jordan essentially played 13 seasons compared to 17 seasons for LeBron, making Jordan's significant lead in accomplishments all the more impressive. And that's to say nothing of MJ's brilliant college career, which saw him twice named All-American and once awarded College Player of the Year, at a time when the country's best players actually went to college. So regardless of whether you're a LeBron fan or MJ fan, you have to give the accomplishments checkmark to Jordan. The second criteria in our GOAT analysis is longevity. And this one is also a no-brainer, but this time in favor of LeBron. Not only has LeBron played more seasons in the league, but he's had a longer peak than Jordan. Jordan's peak lasted about 10 years, whereas LeBron's peak has lasted 16 years and is still going. And he's been incredible.
Now, I'm not going to bring up the steroid argument that we just had. Not that, but there's something to say about. First of all, the amount of games you play in a season, right?
Yeah.
I think that should be part of the argument here. Granted, I think he's before. This video might be before LeBron started taking significant time off in games, right?
Or being a one-way player.
In not playing defense, and a different type of era of basketball where you can maybe get away with that. There's one caveat, but there's also the caveat of, well, what if Jordan kept playing in 99, in 2000, and then he got old in 2002, 2003, right? When did he retire? He retired at, 35 or something like that? 35? And he was still the best player in the league when he retired? Like, what if he just kept going?
You mean in 93, 94, 94, 95.
No. After the 98 title, right? When he retires.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say he stays on for 98, 99, and then again for 99, 2000. Who's to say? And the team maybe stayed together. It could have been 8 titles. Who knows? And it could have had more longevity stats. And how many games would he be playing those seasons? Is another question. So,
Yeah.
But I'll give the I'll say, okay, LeBron longevity. There we go. I'll agree with
Incredibly
him.
durable during that time, missing significant time to injury only in 2019.
That's
That
increased.
said, the claim that LeBron has been much more durable than Michael has been a bit overblown. Consider that Jordan played in at least 80 regular season games 11 times in his career, including all 82 games an incredible 9 times. Compare that to LeBron, who played in at least 80 regular season games just twice, and in all 82 games just once.
Yeah, that's fucking
So
damning
both
right
LeBron
there.
and Jordan get high marks for their
Well,
durability. But durability aside, the
Say that again.
they're gonna say, "Oh, it's part of the new NBA's load management." You know,
There you
I'm
go.
gonna say it, bro.
Oh. There we go.
bottom line is that LeBron has sustained his level of excellence for a much longer period of time than Jordan, which puts the longevity checkmark squarely in LeBron's corner. That brings us to the third GOAT criteria, winning.
Not even close.
As we all know,
Winning's
Jordan
not
won
even
6
close.
championships. LeBron has won 3. Jordan
Yeah,
is
he's won
6-0
4.
in the NBA Finals. LeBron is 3-6. Yes, LeBron has
4 and
made the
6.
finals 9 times compared to only 6 times for Jordan, but let's not pretend that making the finals
Holy.
is the same thing, or even close to the same thing, as winning a title. Take a prime example from another sport, the Buffalo Bills. They're the only team in NFL history to appear in 4 consecutive Super Bowls. But is there a single player or fan of that team that wouldn't trade all 4 of those appearances for just 1 Super Bowl win?
Sorry.
Frankly, talk to any fan whose team lost the season's final game and ask them how they felt afterward. Almost universally, their feelings are of sadness, anger, and disappointment. And that's just the fans. For players, those feelings are only magnified. Listen to Charles Barkley talk about losing in the NBA Finals.
And I was just in shock when it was over because I had to, I was frustrated because I couldn't wheel my team past Michael and the Bulls. And first of all, I don't think I've ever gotten over it, number one. But that was traumatic, and it's painful.
So we can all stop with this false equivalence between winning the championship and finishing runner-up. In the words of Herm Edwards,
I know things Charles Barkley talks like
to win the game.
George W. Bush. And the terrorists, they went left and they went right, and then
Play to win the game.
it was bad.
now back to Jordan and LeBron. As mentioned, on basketball's biggest stage, the NBA Finals, Jordan was 6-0. LeBron was 3-6. And frankly, that doesn't even show how lopsided their records really are. In terms of individual finals games, Jordan was 24-11. LeBron is 18-31. And that's because in 4 of his 6 finals losses, LeBron's team hasn't even been competitive. Twice he got swept, and 2 other times he lost 4-1. That includes being on the wrong side of the 2 most lopsided finals by margin of loss in NBA history. Of course, LeBron fans will tell you that the
Warriors.
The other one has to be the Warriors, right? And then the other one's the Spurs, where Kawhi fucking
Oh, okay.
ate their
No, because
fucking
he got
lunches.
swept. No, remember he got swept by the Spurs like in 07 too.
Yes, he got swept by the Spurs in 07, and then 2014, I think.
The Kawhi one was worse.
No, it was the same. It was 4-1, but I think it was the point spread, maybe. Like
Okay.
Maybe he's talking about that. I don't
Because
know.
I think it might be 07 might be one of them. That his team didn't even look competitive.
No, that's the thing. I've heard guys argue this, that the scores were actually decently close, and like because like
Okay.
they're trying to get on LeBron, right? They're like, the games were
Yeah.
close. The difference was LeBron didn't perform. That's why they lost. Like they were losing by 3 points or 2 points or 4 points, and LeBron's shooting fucking 8 of fucking 30 for fucking 20 points or something. It's like, yo, you kind of like that's a word. I think that argument is worthy. I think it's worthy, man. Like, you're kind of the difference. If you like perform, maybe you win those games, or at least some of them. But yeah, they had their super team, and they fucking got fucking shit canned by the Spurs in 2014. Crazy. All right, here we go.
Then he left.
But like, do we call that Spurs team as good as this Golden State Warrior team? No, right? We don't call them as
No.
good. But do we call LeBron's Heat team as good as this Cavs team? I think wouldn't the Heat team be better? Like on paper,
Yes.
on paper it'd be better, right?
Yes.
But yet,
Well, but it was also like, to be fair, it was kind of like it was top heavy, and D Wade was not fucking living up to the bill because he would never play,
fair enough.
or his minutes would be very limited.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, remember that series where like he went like LeBron went ape shit on Boston, like they were like down
Yes.
3-2, and he
Yes.
won the shit. LeBron Wade was hurt.
Yeah.
Wade was like, oh, he always had a pitch clock, bro, a pitch count. Wade always had it. I used to watch those games, bro. He always had a pitch count.
Yeah, true.
He could only play a certain amount of minutes per game. He would miss back to backs, all that shit.
True. So I remember him getting hurt, and then his comeback year was the year with the Olympics where D Wade was like, other than Kobe, D Wade was like the man. Like, oh my god, this guy's fucking disgusting. And then he came back and had a beast year. This is before LeBron got there. He just had a beast year after that.
Yeah.
But he kind of started to become notorious for getting hurt here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had like arthroscopic surgery on his knees. On one or both. On one or both of his knees.
I'm not sure.
And like that, he was never like he could still be, like thing about him was he always had that mid range, but
Yeah.
when he lost the athleticism, it just became hard for him. But as long as he had the athleticism when LeBron was there, he was still formidable. And Chris Bosh was worth every penny that Miami paid him. To be honest with you.
Yeah, a solid guy who sacrificed touches for the sake of the team. 100%.
Like, as good as LeBron was, the shit Chris Bosh was doing was like super fucking nice. Like, he was doing everything they needed him to do.
Yeah. And I just want to add this too. Good?
Yeah. Oh no, I was gonna say, like, he became a way better player when he got there.
Well, he's had to play a different role, which means he had to increase his skill level at different things. Like his mid-range jumper, his three-pointer had to get better. Like, yeah, he improved offensively 100%. He still got bullied, I think, in the paint with bigger guys. Like he's a little too soft in the paint and shit like that. But
as the game progressed, that became a far less necessary.
Like Chris Bosh in modern NBA would be like, oh, good God. Like, I think he'd be very good. Yeah. I was just going to say, as much as people shit on KD for joining that team, he was still cold-blooded in the fucking finals.
Yeah, he
was pulling up from 40, like, fuck you, I'm shooting this, and look at that, it's going in. He was cold-blooded, man. I don't care how special your team is around you, for a guy to just be like, to make these fucking shots in these moments like that. It's still impressive. I'm sorry. So.
It's impressive. It's just that made his job a lot easier.
Oh, for sure, it made it easier, but still, he's still hitting daggers all over the fucking place. Like, KD's he's an assassin, and there's no doubt about that. His skill is not questioned to me, and his clutchness is not questioned to me. It's just your idea of needing more help is like a savage fucking team that you join. That's the downfall of him right there. It's not his ability. His ability is still top notch as a basketball player, and he's a freak of nature. We need to not forget that. But all right, here we go.
The only reason for LeBron's poor finals record is that his competition was so tough.
Look at this fool, KD,
some of these
bro.
same fans criticized Jordan for losing early in his career to a Celtics team stacked with 5 Hall of Famers, and they conveniently gloss over the fact that LeBron reached the finals so many times in part because the competition in his own conference was so weak. During the vast majority of his career, LeBron played in what many dubbed the Leastern Conference because the East was so much weaker than the West. On the other hand, during Jordan's playing days, the East was generally...
He never left the fucking East till he wanted to make a movie. He's like, all right, fuck it, I'm out here.
To watch.
He's still having trouble.
To watch
if it wasn't for that playoff bubble, his tenure in the West would be a failure. I'd still say it is a
Yeah.
failure.
That bubble has an asterisk next to it. I agree, man. There's so many factors like that are it's like saying like, oh man, I made the best movie ever. How come? Look at my numbers. Yeah, but no one can go to the movie theater, so your streaming went up, and your movie was highly premiered and marketed on streaming. So that's why people were watching your shit. It's like
It would be like it would be like Tiger King's the best documentary of all time.
exactly.
Like, when it came out, like, oh, look at the numbers, look at the figures it had.
Fucking true. But yeah, with the competition wise, like this Pacers team, like the Reggie Miller Pacers in the fucking 90s, they were fucking savages too. The Knicks, the Pacers, the fucking Jesus Christ, Knicks. I gotta like remember these teams now.
Oh, you mean
The
the
East.
East? Yeah.
Who else was fucking savage?
Orlando too.
Orlando were fucking savages. There's more. I'm like trying to think of these 90s fucking teams where I wasn't as much into basketball. I was more a baseball guy, but yeah, this like the LeBron Eastern Conference pales in comparison, bro. Like you're playing the fucking like Hawks or some shit for the 12th season in a row in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Or the fucking who?
Or the Paul George Pacers.
Paul George Pacers. Hey.
No point guard, Boy Hibbert, slow ass.
Played the Raptors again for the 9th fucking time. Like
with no guard, with no wing. They have no true wing. It's fucking Lowry and DeRozan.
Yeah, well, yeah, no big man in there.
Yeah, no big either. Well, they have Valanciunas, whatever that is.
All right, here we go. But these teams are like kind of legendary in the Eastern Conference compared to like remember the Miami Heat too, in Jordan's era. Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning, like those teams. I could be fucking this up, so comment section can correct me. But all right, let's play this video.
Generally considered the stronger conference, as Jordan had to battle through hard-fought rivalries against the Bad Boy Pistons, Patrick Ewing's Knicks, the Shaq Penny-led Magic, and Reggie Miller's Pacers. That said, if you want to blame LeBron's failure in the finals on the level of his competition, I won't argue with you. But let's also not blow it out of proportion.
He's
if you look
murdering
at the average
him,
number
bro.
of wins of their finals opponents, you'll see that LeBron's finals opponents averaged 60.8 wins per season, whereas Jordan's finals opponents averaged 61.2 wins per season. So as it turns out, both players faced stiff competition in the finals. But a big reason
they were beating up the they're like I hear people like talking about the Jazz, like look how shitty the Jazz were. Like they were beating the Shaq Lakers like to get there, to get to the fucking finals and shit. So Kobe wasn't Kobe yet, but there's still like it's still Shaq and there's all stars on all over the fucking Lakers. Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, there's all stars on that team, along with fucking Shaq. So, but all right, here we go.
We don't hold the 93 Suns, the 96 Sonics, or the 98 Jazz in the same regard as some of LeBron's finals opponents is because, unlike LeBron's adversaries, Jordan's opponents never actually won the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
Correct.
Which goes to my original point, that the difference between winning the title and finishing runner-up is huge. And the reason those teams never won the title? This guy. Look, I'm not trying to say that Jordan's opponents were as good as the Warriors teams that LeBron faced 4 times in the finals. The truth is that Jordan never played a juggernaut quite like that. But there's a pretty good reason for that. Jordan's Bulls were the juggernaut. They were the team winning 70-plus games. They were the team with the target on their back every year. And as the Warriors showed us, that's not an easy place to be. As great as the Warriors were, they were never able to string together 3 consecutive championships. Jordan's Bulls did it twice. So what's the greater achievement? Beating the juggernaut or being the juggernaut? Or to be more specific, beating the juggernaut 1 time out of the 4 times you faced them? Or being the juggernaut year after year after year? And then doing it again, year after year after year. There's no doubt that LeBron's victory over the 73-win Warriors was the highlight of his career.
Thank you, Kyrie.
It's the first time that an underdog has won the championship. And there actually have been much bigger underdogs who ended up winning the title.
Did anyone for Jordan do what Kyrie did for LeBron in that finals.
Nope.
Fuck out of here, man. Kyrie was a fucking killer. He was destroying motherfuckers. He still destroys motherfuckers, man. Kyrie's
He's
one of the most underrated players I've ever like heard of in NBA. God. Good?
Nah, I forgot my point.
All right, here we go. Kyrie's, yeah.
But how many
fucking
times have we
killer.
seen a player lead his team to 6 championships in 8 years? Prior to Jordan's Bulls, only Bill Russell's Celtics ever accomplished that feat in the NBA, when they incredibly won 11 championships in 13 seasons. However, back then, there was an average of less than 10 teams in the league, and only a couple rounds of playoffs, so it was considerably easier to win a title. And no player, not even Bill Russell, ever had a run of winning 25 of 26 playoff series, as Michael Jordan did. And Michael's pattern of winning goes beyond the NBA. Let's not forget that Jordan has never won anything but gold in the Olympics.
What's his name?
Good.
The guy for the Celtics.
Bill Russell?
Yeah, that kills his claim too. Like you, bro, you won titles. You had a nice team, bro. You didn't will your team past fucking 25. Right?
All right, here we go. If people look up the stats of like Jordan's supposed help of like Scottie Pippen's obviously like a Hall of Famer type player and an All-Star player, but like compare that to like maybe what other people got, it actually does look a little bit crazy. But here we go.
And he also earned an NCAA championship, in which he hit the first of 2 iconic championship-winning shots in his career. All that is to say, when it comes to winning, the checkmark clearly goes to Jordan. On to the 4th GOAT criteria, statistics. This one is a bit more complicated. I mean, how do you statistically evaluate 2 players who played in different eras under different rules at different positions?
He yammed on Duncan. I remember
One
that
way of
shit.
doing it is to simply look at the 8 traditional statistics of basketball. Points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and turnovers. And we'll focus on per game stats rather than cumulative stats, since cumulative stats such as total career points and total career assists really speak to longevity, which is already its own category of the GOAT analysis.
That's why I like this video so
is
much.
more of an apples to apples
That's that
comparison.
context.
So looking at the 8 traditional stats, we see that Jordan leads LeBron in 5 of them: points per game, steals per game, blocks per game, free throw percentage, and fewer turnovers. LeBron leads in the other 3: assists per game, rebounds per game, and field goal percentage. But that's a pretty simplistic way of looking at statistics.
He should be embarrassed by the blocks. How are you at that size and athleticism getting less blocks than Michael Jordan? That's kind of crazy to me. Like, you're basically a power forward who can dribble the basketball, right? His size.
Just hanging around.
Like, come on.
Just hanging around.
But MJ played floating defense as well, just like apparently just harder. Like he's just a better free safety. LeBron's just like taking a break. So, that's old man LeBron. I won't diss him too hard. But all right, here we go.
What if we instead turn to analytics? Probably the most well-known analytics stat is player efficiency rating, or PER for short. This metric was created by respected basketball analyst John Hollinger to give an overall rating to a player's performance based on traditional stats like the ones we just mentioned. Jordan has led the league in PER 7 times, LeBron 6 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in PER 10 times, LeBron 9 times. In fact, Jordan has the highest career PER in both the regular season and the playoffs. Another popular analytics stat is win shares. Jordan has led the league in win shares 8 times, LeBron 5 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in win shares 11 times, LeBron 6 times. And when it comes to win shares per 48 minutes, Jordan has the highest career rating in both the regular season and the playoffs. What
It's
about
better
box
in
plus
playoffs.
minus? Until recently, LeBron was actually ahead of Jordan in career box plus minus. But after the 2017 season gave Russell Westbrook the greatest single-season box plus minus in history by a wide margin, the architect of box plus minus realized that the stat was fundamentally flawed. So he made some changes to improve its formula. As a result,
Oh my God.
Michael Jordan now has the highest career box plus minus in both the regular season and the playoffs.
It's way
And lastly,
better.
what about value over replacement player, which on its face seems to favor LeBron James? Well, value over replacement player is a cumulative stat, and as previously noted, cumulative stats speak more to longevity than they do game-to-game dominance. That said, according to value over replacement player, Jordan owns 6 of the 9 greatest individual seasons ever played, and on a per-game basis, MJ's career rating in value over replacement player is the highest of all time in both the regular season and the playoffs. Are you noticing a theme here? Not only does Jordan beat LeBron in every ratable analytic stat, he consistently ranks as the best ever across the board. Before we move on from analytics, I want to mention a lesser-known stat called game score, another brainchild of John Hollinger. Game score measures a player's performance in a single game, so it won't tell us who's had the better career, but it does provide insight into who's had the greatest games. Now, we only have game score stats since 1983, so you won't see any mentions of Wilt Chamberlain here. That said, of the 100 highest game scores ever recorded, incredibly 19 of them belong to Michael Jordan. In other words, nearly 1 out of every 5 of the best single-game performances over the last 4 decades has been by MJ. That includes the highest game score of all time for Jordan's 69.18 rebound masterpiece. Comparatively, LeBron has had only 3 of the top 100 game scores. When discussing the GOAT, Nick Wright is fond of asking this
Just
question.
look at the way they play, man. It's so different.
You have 1 game to save humanity. Who's your first pick in the history of the world?
Well, Nick, I think we have our answer.
Nick Wright's a fucking clown. Who's picking LeBron James in that? You have 1 game, and your life's on the line.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Who are you picking? It's like, bro,
we halfway through this video, bro. I'm wrecked.
we saw the 2011 shit, bro. We saw that. Like, come on, you can't dismiss that. Sorry. Here we go.
Now that I've finished drowning you in numbers, let's be real. Hardly anyone watching this video knows how to calculate PER, win shares, box plus minus, value over replacement player, or game score. And why should you? This is basketball, not Goodwill Hunting. So let's go back to the traditional stats that we all know and understand. But this time, let's add context to them. What do I mean by context? Well, some positions
this is
are
real
simply
wreckage,
better than others
actually.
at racking up certain stats. Let's take rebounding as an example. In a vacuum, if we simply compare the number of rebounds per game of Brook Lopez and Jason Kidd, we might think that Lopez was the better rebounder. The truth is, relative to their positions, Lopez is statistically one of the worst rebounding centers in NBA history, whereas Kidd is statistically one of the best rebounding guards in NBA history. But even a poor rebounding center can grab more rebounds than a great rebounding guard solely by virtue of their roles on the court. So it makes sense that, to understand the context of a player's stats, we should compare them to the respective positions that they played. When comparing LeBron James to the other small forwards who have played at least 500 NBA games, this is where he ranks. Overall, that's pretty impressive. Now let's see how Jordan compares to all shooting guards who have played at least 500 NBA games. As good as LeBron is compared to other small forwards, Jordan is on another level when compared to other shooting guards. He's darn near the top of every major statistical category, and there isn't a single category where LeBron is better than MJ relative to his position, other than assists. So to sum up statistics, whether comparing traditional stats or analytics, and especially when judging these players in the context of the positions they played, Jordan has a noticeable edge over LeBron. As such, we have to give the check mark to Jordan. And that takes us to the last category in our GOAT analysis, the eye test. And to be clear, by
that's
eye
all I
test,
look for.
I don't mean which of these
Not all,
players is
but,
bigger, faster, or jumps higher. None of that is relevant unless we're having a track and field competition. And
I kind of want to bring it up. LeBron's stronger. MJ jumps higher. MJ's faster. LeBron is taller. Where would we go from there? As far as like Falco. we go to Victor Conte and ask him where. As far as like athleticism goes, I think MJ has a higher vertical. I think he's faster than
He has the
LeBron
highest
James.
vertical of all time.
Does it? No, there's no way that's the case. Does he?
Look, I heard Gilbert say that shit.
There's no way. Of all time, there's got to be some obscure guy who couldn't really like shoot
He
or
said
anything
the
like
only
that, but
guy
he
that
could
got
jump
close
off the
was
shit.
Zach Levine. He said Zach Levine's the only one that got, but that was before the knee surgery.
I don't know. I think there's more guys than that, but I'm sorry. I'm just going to compare LeBron and MJ, and I think MJ has a higher vertical, and I think he's faster and quicker than LeBron James. But LeBron's stronger, and when you take your strength and you put close to MJ as far as quickness, speed, jumping ability, that's when it becomes freaky. Where it's like, how do you stop a train as opposed to, a really nice model car? That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
It's that he has all that, and he's strong as fuck, and he's bigger and all that shit. But as far as some of these like individual categories, I think MJ beats LeBron. He does. But here we go. And flexibility, that's MJ. Sorry. All right, here we go. Pause too.
Frankly, if
Major
physical
pause.
measurables mattered, then George Murasan would be in the GOAT conversation. No, what I mean by the eye test is, if you sat an average basketball fan in front of a TV to watch a player in action, what would he notice that the player is and is not great at? Thankfully, I happen to be an average basketball fan, and I've had the privilege of watching both LeBron and Jordan during their playing days. So unlike a lot of my fellow YouTubers, I haven't merely relied on highlight videos. Here's what my eyes told me when I saw Michael Jordan play, particularly during his playing days with the Chicago Bulls. He was the best offensive player in the game. He was arguably the best defensive player in the game. He had the best mid-range game. He was the best finisher at the rim. He had the best post-up game, which is incredible considering most players who dominated the post were big men.
People don't realize that. He was the best offensive post player in basketball. I know there's Hakeem's up there. MJ was just like almost like automatic, and like you have to.
It was a triangle, right? 'Cause it was a triangle.
Yeah, you have to add double teams. Like his post up game was ridiculously stupid. It's just like it's like slightly more efficient than like Kobe Bryant's, in my opinion. Like from what I've seen. Sure, the stats. I don't know what the stats are, but MJ was the man in the post like that. Pause.
He was widely considered the most clutch player in the game. He was regarded by opponents as the fiercest competitor on the court. He was regarded by teammates as the hardest worker in practice. And when all was said and done, amongst the other stars of his generation, he was the greatest winner.
Yeah.
Now, when you're playing against the elite of the elite athletes of the world, to be the best at any one of those things is pretty remarkable. But to be the best at all of them? I tell you, it's impossible, but for the fact that we saw Michael Jordan do it. And when it comes to the GOAT debate, that's the biggest hurdle facing LeBron. He's basically being compared to a guy who was great at everything and practically had no weaknesses. Seriously, judging by the eye test, what's the worst thing we could say about Michael Jordan's game? Probably that he wasn't a very good three-point shooter. Jordan shot 33% from beyond the arc in an era when the...
Yeah. Good. Go ahead with that point. I think you're going to say something there. Right.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, had you told him, hey Jordan, this should be more important to you, he would have done it. He didn't need to do that. He had the best mid-range game of all time. And like you said, from the post back to the basket, there's no one more deadly than Jordan.
Good God.
This dude could probably turn his back to the basket. Him and Kobe could probably turn their backs to the basket, blindfolded, do a step back, and they'll make the shot.
Yes.
That's how like clinical it was for them.
Yes, it's as automatic as I think it's really ever been. And you have to consider, forget about statistics, just like look at the defenses thrown at these guys. That's the main thing, is that the defense being thrown at them, right? Because there are guys who can hit mid-range jump shots, but are they getting hounded like Kobe, MJ, or even Dirk, like you said? Are they being hounded? Yeah. Are they being hounded like that? No. Not really. They'll live or die with like that guy shooting. Like, okay, yeah, you hit your shot, all right, but you're not gonna get they're not gonna run the offense through you. If they did, then they start seeing these harder defenses, which is why I think Kobe Bryant is an underrated like jump shooter, like overall, because he's getting fucking hounded, bro. He is, because he's like
Yeah.
that's the scoring threat. Chase this guy around. But yeah, if the league changed early and they made it more of a 3-point emphasis, I think he would have been fine.
I don't even think it would have mattered. They could have done that. He. Good luck defending him either way. Well, this is the other thing too. This is the other thing. LeBron's the kind of guy like at his peak. He was like 15 shots were made from the rim and the rest free throws. He lived like that. That's where he lived at.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is they say the 3-point shots implicated. That has nothing to do with how this guy would have played the game. Same with Kobe. Has nothing to do with how they impact the game. You could have had Steph Curry play this guy. At the end of on the other end of the court, it would have been a fucking menace either way.
Yeah.
Which is what is just it's kind of like it's undervalued what he did as opposed to fucking LeBron. I understand LeBron's not a guard. I'm just saying. Like that's why that one stat, the win shares per 48 minutes and the usage. That's why that shit stands out.
Yeah.
Like if you really look under the hood of what that is, I feel like that's where he's separated.
Okay. Well,
You could drop this guy. He could drop this guy into 2016. He's still going to be the same menace.
Yeah, I agree.
And
this eye test for me though.
And like it's the adage, oh, these guys are more talented. These guys are more talented, or they don't play defense. Which one is it? And they could very well be very accurate shooters. At the same time, I don't see the tenacity.
Are they being hounded like that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a worthy question. I'd love to see like game film and all that, like to see like certain possessions and like how hard is this guy working to get a bucket versus this guy in this era or something. That'd be interesting to say. But it just seems the game seems much different, man. It does, as far as how people get open and the difficulty of shot making. The allowing to take like this gather step and then a step back to the step back is fucking crazy looking to me. Like,
well, I didn't even bring that into the equation, but once you start entering that realm, it's like, hey man, if you can make a 3, you're good. So you're not gonna now they're gonna help you make the 3s even when there's a perceived travel involved. Like it doesn't matter at that point. It's like, oh, he made the 3. It's like, bro, it's like I need to see how it's being defended on the other end.
I remember in high school, like I'm not some great basketball player. I've never been a great basketball player ever, but every certain because I had kind of a quick first step, so I would do this thing where I would where you catch it in a triple threat and you fucking jab step one way and go to the other. Like that was like my simple move, and I would get called for traveling so many fucking times for that shit because it's like because your feet do shift without you even realizing it. That happens where your feet shift as you're trying to like fake one way and go another, and it's like that shit used to be called all the time. That shit would never be called today. Not a fucking not a chance. Not a fucking chance that's getting called.
And so that's all those things are. It makes what MJ did even hard. It makes for example, Curry, Booker, Durant. Like it makes your accomplishments. It's kind of diluted to a certain extent.
Yeah.
The ways of fouls are called, which this is like documented. They changed the way they're called, anyways. They changed the way you're allowed to manipulate the ball with your fucking steps.
Yes.
And then they also took they hampered the defense on what they can and can't do.
Yes. And
so these things were all in place. These rule changes were not in place when MJ was around. and he was causing havoc. That's why I'm like, yo, how much you think he scored now? It's an obvious, like, in that question lies an admission that no one that's omitted, an omitted admission of today's league is just not, it's not what it was back then.
A guy who's 6'6" as a 2 guard who can move like they don't realize how athletic Michael Jordan in his prime is. They have no fucking clue. These people who don't well, they're not the athlete. They're not as good as they were, or they're better than they were back in the day. It's like you don't realize how athletic Michael fucking Jordan was. Holy shit! Like put him on any scale of athlete, he's gonna be ranking up there as far as the NBA goes. Then you add a consistent jump shot. It's like forget about it. It's all he needs. If he can move that quick and get around people that quickly and finish at the rim and dunk on people and all that shit, but he can also just hit a mid-range jump shot. Like you're fucked. Sorry, you're fucked. In today's era, you are super fucked because they're gonna allow him to do extra fucking steps and do all this. And you're fucked. Yeah. You are fucked, bro. Sorry. And then let's say he did work on his 3-point, like he did an interview where he talked about his 3-point shot, and he's like, oh well, I don't need to do that to win, but I don't do it.
That's it's for you to see. It's not. It's like how do you even to say that is like, oh man, you ran out of shit to say.
Yeah.
Like he had this guy had no problem scoring 60, 50 without it. Like what? Like
he has the highest points per game in history. The highest points per game ever.
Yeah, no threes.
No 3-pointers.
Three was not a big factor for him. No problem.
He's taking 1 to 2 3-pointers a game. Man. Imagine if he's like, yo, I need to work on this, and then he starts hitting threes. Like, forget about it.
Especially with his explosiveness, he'll get the most wide open threes, bro.
Yes. He'll jab
one like you're
back.
saying, one step, yeah, one fucking pivot step, bro.
They'd be like, "Oh shit, he's gonna dunk on me." They'd fall back 4 feet, and he'd be wide open. Here you go, eat this. Oh man, we sound like old heads, man, but it is what it is. Like,
but it's like they go like, "Oh, look at Harden!" Like Harden's run, it's like he did like what he was getting like 33 a game.
He was like 36, I think, per game.
36 with all the help we've highlighted.
He's traveling, bro.
Imagine fucking Jordan, bro.
Act like these guys weren't coordinated to like be able to like, oh, they did like if you give them back, like they couldn't dribble. Like, are you kidding me? Like they're like staring at the ball, like dribbling one-handed, like staring at the basketball and shit. Like, no, tell MJ he can do this move, and it's not illegal. Like he'll learn it. He'll practice it, and he'll fucking learn it. This guy's a better athlete than 99.9% of the fucking NBA, man. He was. He'll learn that shit if he has to, or if he wants to. Like, come on. But yeah, neither here nor there. All right, here we go.
The average player also shot 33%. So when it came to 3-point shooting,
and mechanics-wise, look at his shooting mechanics.
He was just.
You tell me LeBron's a better shooter than him?
That Michael played in an age
from any range.
Of the game. During Jordan's years, teams averaged only 9.5 3-point attempts per game, and Michael himself attempted less than 2 threes per game.
His hand mechanics are like fucking on point.
Is a weakness of Michael's game, well, then we also have to call it a weakness of LeBron's game.
Yeah.
The difference is that LeBron plays in an era where the 3-point shot is a huge part of the
LeBron
game.
is torso fading back as he's
teams
shooting.
Attempted on average
it's
over
inefficient.
21 threes per game, and LeBron himself averaged 4.3.
He fades while he's wide open.
Or 2.5 times as many as Jordan.
That's not better mechanics. I'm sorry.
On threes, LeBron's
not that I know basketball like that.
Beyond the arc is only a hair better than Jordan at 34%.
Has to fade.
And it's actually slightly below his peers, who averaged 35% from 3 during his era. But to reiterate, being an average 3-point shooter was by far the worst part of MJ's game. For LeBron, it's not even close. LeBron, in fact, has 4 major weaknesses as a basketball player.
Look at it, he got shot.
To anyone who has actually watched
Dude, who hit him up, bro? What the fuck was that?
Hey, Ricky.
Who's in the...
Using boys in the hood, bro.
I'll tell you, the coach is standing over his body like MLK and shit, pointing at some rafter, like, over there. He's over there, sniper.
I've been thinking about what that dude, he was it Email Udoka? He's like, stop being a bitch. That's what he said.
Some shit that you're playing like a bitch. The disrespect. The non-fear of you, like say that shit to MJ is like, yeah, I'm gonna put 70 on your team, and then I'm gonna like embarrass you in the media too.
That's not what's gonna happen with
And
this
then
team.
every time I play, I'm gonna be fucking looking at you in the eyes as I'm doing all this shit, embarrassing your.
It's not even close.
Houston Rockets.
LeBron, in fact, has
talking
4
shit
major
to you.
weaknesses as a basketball
Look
player,
at this flop
each of
pass.
which is readily apparent to anyone who's
Ah,
actually watched
you
him
got
play.
a car accident.
First, he's not a good free throw shooter.
Oh,
For his career, LeBron has shot around 73.5% from the free throw line, which is pretty poor for a player who handles the ball as much as he does. In fact, many analysts point out that at the end of games, LeBron shies away from driving to the basket because he's afraid of being sent to the line.
I've heard that.
I don't know whether that's true, but what I do know is that the odds of LeBron hitting 2 consecutive free throws is statistically not much better than a coin flip. Jordan, on the other hand, shot a solid 83.5% from the free throw line during his career, and MJ never shied away from contact at the end of games. LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender. Sure, he's had some years where he was elite defender.
That's fucking crazy. They'll like kick out, bro. He tried to throw sweet chin music, bro. He
thought he was Shawn Michaels, bro.
He tried to tune the band up, bro. They'll take him out.
Never shied away from contact at the end of
Look at this
games.
shit.
LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender. Sure, he's had some years where he was elite defensively, which is evidenced by his numerous selections to the NBA's all-defensive team. But he's also had several years where he's practically been a liability on the defensive end. Compare that to
This is why I can't. Once again, shout out to Anger Old Hoops fan. I can't help but enjoy those videos where they're just highlighting LeBron like standing around, not doing anything, just standing, standing.
It's his man's. Yeah, it's his man's. The guy dunks, and then he's complaining to the guy like, "Yo, what are you doing?" To the other, so then they, "What are you doing, bro?" Like, bro, that's your man.
Yo, where were you at, man? Like, yeah.
Where were you at? Like, he's complaining. He's a constant complainer, bro. Like,
This shit's fucking funny. I'm sorry. This dude scores, and then LeBron's like, oh shit. He starts wiping his hands on his jersey. He starts doing the Kobe thing, or like dries his hands off on his jersey. That's fucking hilarious.
which is evidenced
Look
by
at
his
this shit.
numerous selections to the NBA's all-defensive team. But he's also had several years where he's practically
like,
been a liability on the defensive end. Compare that to
I didn't see
MJ,
it.
who during his Bulls days was a consistent
Don't ask, don't tell.
defender. In fact, Jordan is the only player to rank in the top 5 amongst all guards in both steals per game and blocks per game for his career. Additionally, Michael led his position in defensive win shares practically every year that he played for the Bulls, an incredible 10 times. LeBron, comparatively, has led his position in defensive win shares on just 4 occasions, and in 5 of his last 7 seasons, he didn't even crack the top 10.
Yeah, that's egregious. That's
now, Some will
egregious.
excuse LeBron's recent fall off on the defensive end as a byproduct of his resting on defense so that he can have more
Look at
energy
this
on
fool.
offense. And we can debate the merits of that strategy. But resting on defense is not something Michael Jordan was ever accused of doing. Heck, even as a 40-year-old, he was busting his tail on the defensive end. But what about the notion that LeBron's been the more versatile defender? LeBron supporters will argue that he can guard positions 1 through 5 on the court, such as when he guarded Derrick Rose for stretches in the 2011 playoffs. But LeBron's guarding the opposing team's point guard or center isn't something that happens very often. In fact, during his career, LeBron has spent less than 5% of his total minutes guarding the opposing players 1 or 5. So the versatility argument is highly exaggerated. And look, when it comes to versatility, Hometown Buffet may have a more versatile menu than Spago. That doesn't make it a better restaurant. LeBron's third weakness is that he's not a very good shooter. And this is a pretty significant flaw for someone claiming to be the GOAT. I mean, shooting the ball is the quintessential skill in the game of basketball. It's the part of the game that everyone practices, whether on the playground, at the YMCA, or in the NBA. Now, some people will contend that LeBron is actually a better shooter than Jordan because he has a better career field goal percentage. And yes, LeBron's career field goal percentage is 50.4% compared to Jordan's 49.7%. But recall what I said about placing stats into proper context. To help us understand context when it comes to shooting,
if he's getting
allow
more
me to
dunks, it might go
introduce
up.
DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler. We all know that DeAndre and Tyson were great rebounders and defenders. But what if I told you that they were also two of the greatest shooters of all time? That would be certifiably crazy. Yet if you look at all the shooting metrics, field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, both of these guys rank near the top in NBA history. Of course, there's an obvious...
Is that not an indictment on where the NBA has gone? Because it's Tyson Chandler. Like, let's say it's just about big men getting dunks and layups. Is DeAndre Jordan a better finisher at the rim than Shaquille O'Neal? No, he's not. Sorry.
No.
I don't care what you tell me. He's not a better finisher. Neither is Tyson Chandler.
Hell no.
He's not better than Mikhail at finishing at the rim. He's not better than Hakeem finishing at the rim. Like, no, he's not. But look at their numbers as far as their field goal percentage is close to the rim. Like, because maybe they're turned into specialized roles. They get alley-oop dunks because the lanes are fucking open.
And there's no defense for that shit, bro.
Yeah, so there's context of even these guys being that high ranked of these like particular categories. So, and I think that's an era thing, honestly. But here we go.
obvious reason for that. As we all know, both DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler take a lot of their shot attempts on dunks, layups, and putbacks, which are extremely high percentage shots. Well, guess what? So does LeBron James. In fact, every single year of his career, the shot that LeBron James has taken the most has been within 0 to 3 feet from the basket. In other words, dunks, layups, and putbacks. More than one of every three of LeBron's shots has been within this point-blank range,
This is the killer
which is
thing.
aided by his playing in an era where it's been relatively easy to get to the rim, particularly when compared to the physical era in which Jordan played. And just like every other player, LeBron is really effective from 0 to 3 feet, hitting over 73% of these shots. But how does LeBron fare from outside this range? According to basketballreference.com, LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet is 37.5%. It's even poorer in the playoffs where he shoots 35.9%. And it gets even worse in close and late situations. In the last 2 minutes of games where the score is within 5 points, LeBron hits only 31.7% of his jumpers. Look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that these numbers aren't very good. Which is probably why in the 2013 finals, the Spurs' defensive strategy against the Heat was to basically dare LeBron James to shoot. And keep in mind, this was against LeBron in his prime. Can you imagine an opposing coach using a similar strategy against MJ? Now, LeBron actually credits the Spurs for forcing him to work.
Exactly. It's like, yo, you leaving this motherfucker open, bro? You're on the bench. You're bitching you. Like, holy shit. Like, imagine to Popovich's surprise where he's just like, you just let him shoot. To the opposing, like, I guess supposed to be the MJ of a certain era. Like, yeah, just let him let him shoot. Leave him open. Like, what did MJ do to Portland? Where they're like, yo, he can't shoot 3-pointers. He fucking hit like 6 straight 3-pointers or some shit like that. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's an argument about mentality versus like ability, and when your mentality is just on point, you just like do things that maybe you're not supposed to do normally.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's worthy of looking at when it comes to athletics, man. Because sports is an art. There's a lot of fucking magic in sports, and can't ignore that shit. Not in my opinion. But here we go.
Work on his jump shot. But it's not as if his results have gotten much better since then. Here's LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet over the last 6 years. Yikes. Well, I'll give him this. He is consistent. For comparison, consider that in the last year of Michael Jordan's career, as an aging player on the Washington Wizards, Jordan shot close to 42% from outside 3 feet. While that's certainly not great, it means that even as a 40-year-old shell of his former self, Jordan was still a better shooter, a far better shooter than LeBron James. Unfortunately, Basketball Reference doesn't have advanced shooting metrics from Michael's Bulls days, when he was a significantly more efficient scorer, but few would argue that Michael was anything but a lethal jump shooter when he was wearing red and black. When it comes to shooting, all of us can recall practicing shots on the blacktop, counting down 3, 2, 1, before launching a shot at the rim. Well, if you were
Hoosiers?
pretending to be LeBron James, you'd brick almost 2/3 of the time. Actually, that's not entirely true. If you were playing against a countdown, it would be much, much worse. And that gets me to the last major weakness of LeBron's game. His
Travel.
performance, or more accurately,
Yeah.
lack of performance.
I'm sorry, LeBron. Like, I'm not a LeBron hater. It's just like, shit like this is just so fucking hilarious. Look at this shit, bro. He does his Euro stuff, he travels, and then he misses a wide open layup. It's just like, oh man. Like a game winning layup. Look at this shit.
The last major weakness of LeBron's game. His performance, or more
He knew he
accurately,
traveled,
lack
that's
of
why he missed
performance
it.
in the clutch.
It's like,
Remember
fuck, I
when
traveled.
people were praising
Just
LeBron
missed.
for making a couple of buzzer beaters in the playoffs 2 years ago? They used these stats to claim that LeBron was better in the clutch than Jordan. But look at these numbers carefully. What stands out to you? How about this? People were using a sample size of less than 1 shot per season to make the case that LeBron was more clutch than Jordan. That would be the equivalent of polling just 100 people in the country to try to predict the winner of the next presidential election. So let's use more telling stats, shall we? Here's a situation that's often used to determine a player's clutchness. 5 seconds to go in the fourth quarter or overtime, and your team needs a bucket to either win or tie the game. It answers the age-old question, who do you want taking the last shot with the game on the line? It turns out that in the regular season and playoffs combined, LeBron has taken 94 such shots. That's a pretty good sample size. And how many of those 94 shots has LeBron made? 19, for a shooting percentage of 20%. Let me repeat that. 20%. Guys, that's not bad in the clutch. That's atrocious. Michael Jordan in the same situation shot roughly 50%. Yes, that's right. Jordan's performance under pressure was the same as it was throughout the rest of the game. And that, my friends, is the definition of clutch. So there you go. When it comes to the eye test, our eyes tell us that one player, Michael Jordan, is great at everything and has practically no weaknesses. And the other player, LeBron James, while also having a ton of strengths, has several obvious flaws to his game. And when all is said and done, after analyzing the 5 key factors of being the GOAT, Jordan gets 4 check marks to LeBron's 1, making this GOAT debate, well, not much of a debate at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that LeBron James is a bad player. He's a phenomenal player. Personally, I have him on basketball's Mount Rushmore, along with Jordan, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell. He's just not Michael Jordan. And just to underscore how good MJ was, let's ignore LeBron and Jordan for a minute and focus on the other 3 players highlighted here, Kareem, Wilt, and Bill Russell. Most would agree that these are the 3 greatest centers in NBA history, and each of them has a strong case to justify his standing among basketball royalty. Wilt is an all-time great because...
What's up?
You missing Shaq?
I think he's gonna go out like, well, like for eye test reasons, I think Shaq probably shits on all 3 of them. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Shaq prime, but I think he's gonna go off some numbers and things like that and dominance in an era type of thing. But all right, there we go.
Because he was an offensive force of nature, and he holds a ton of NBA records. Russell is in the conversation because he was a dominant defender and a perennial champion. Kareem also led his team to numerous titles, and in terms of individual awards and accolades, was the most decorated of the 3. Not to mention, he had the NBA's most unguardable shot. Now imagine a center that had all the best qualities from these 3 titans. A player like that would be the basketball equivalent of Thanos. Now add to that player the highest level of intangible attributes, such as a tireless work ethic, unmatched killer instinct, and an ability to deliver in the clutch. And now you'd essentially be looking at Thanos with all of the Infinity Stones, and no one would question whether this player was the greatest of all time. But the truth is, we don't have to imagine such a player. That player already existed. He just happened to be a shooting guard, not a center. When you think about it, Michael Jordan is the real-life version of an overpowered video game character. He had all the qualities we look for in a superstar athlete, and he had it in spades. He's basically Babe Ruth. if Babe Ruth played defense like Willie Mays. And that's why, even in comparison to the other all-time greats, he is truly in a class of his
He was
own.
so basic like Willie Mays too.
Simply put, he's the GOAT.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It is? What the fuck?
Magic.
Oh my god.
Well, decision, bro.
The iconic moments alone. Oh my god. Bro, it's... I'm sorry, bro. Yeah.
LeBron's a GOAT, Jordan. You know what? I'm Jordan. LeBron's a GOAT.
You're convinced that, like, so many, like, even like that whole little like highlight reel we just watched, where it's like, are there like LeBron things that we hold as iconic as those things?
No. I got you, Jordan. 20 dunks. That's what you're gonna hold LeBron.
Like, where
One of
the
the
fuck?
easiest things. If you have the ability to dunk, that's one of the. It's like it's not even impressive.
I think LeBron's most iconic things have been block shots. The one on, what's his name? Like,
Thiago
Splitter, and the one on Andre Iguodala are like the most iconic moments of LeBron James. And I guess the shot against Orlando where they ended up losing the series badly to the Magic anyways. And then the stare down against the Celtics, which wasn't the finals, that was just the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
But like MJ just has all these fucking moments. And it's like, is that propaganda? Am I getting like tricked by the media?
No, I don't think so.
Hey, I don't know, but like, where are those like iconic like just on page, just the average fan's view of things? They don't. Those iconic moments aren't there for LeBron. They're not. The only arguments I've heard from people is all-time leading scorer, or fuck, I don't know. Like he's gonna have the top 10 in all these different categories of statistics. It's like the most I've heard, and just dipshits on Fox Sports 1 and ESPN. That's it. I haven't really like seen much outside of that as an argument.
Imagine if this guy plays 4 more years and he still didn't get to 6.
Well, he won't get the 5 most likely, unless he joins another super team. He's not getting the 5.
If he sticks around for 4 more years, they'll trade him. They'll by accident trade him to a good team.
Like, I can't see it. I think it's too late for the titles. He'll have the longevity stats like the video says. But as far as like you at your very best and then this guy at his very best, who's actually the better scorer? Oh, this guy by a lot. Who's better defender? This guy by a lot. Who's gonna hit the big time shot? You or this guy at any point in both of your careers? Like, oh, this guy over here. Like, it's not even close, man. And in fact, I think there's players in between them. As far as scoring go, who's a better offensive player? I think there's like Kobe. There's maybe
AI.
Probably Shaq, AI, McGrady. There's scorers that go in between MJ and LeBron.
You didn't even put Luka in that conversation.
Well, I'll wait on that one. But defenders, are there
Dirk for sure? Yes, Dirk too.
Are there defenders in between? Like MJ's better defender. Are there defenders in between MJ and LeBron? Yes, there are. There's names that you can put out before you hit LeBron's name as you go down the list.
Kobe.
Yes, Kobe's up. Yes, Kobe is better defender than LeBron, in my opinion. How about clutch? How about clutch? There's players. There's players.
Kobe.
But I'm saying there's even more than just
KD.
Kobe. There's players in between these guys.
Kyrie,
Like
Curry.
there's players separating these fucking dudes.
Jimmy Butler is more clutch than LeBron.
Yes, he is. Just based on last year's playoffs, he's like more clutch. That's crazy what he did. But yeah, like I don't think it's fucking close, man. It's not even fucking close. Like if LeBron's game stayed the exact same way it is, the only way you start bringing him towards MJ is if he wins 8 fucking titles. If he had 8 career titles, then we could be like, well, he can't shoot like MJ, he can't defend like MJ, he can't do this like MJ, but he has 8 titles. That'd be the only like thing you could go to.
Even 7, I'll give him that.
Yeah, but then again, the Nick Wrights of the world, that's they complain about people using titles as a reason for why MJ's better. So like they'd end up having to reverse their argument around.
No, they wouldn't. They'll just move the goalposts, bro. No, they won't.
Basically, because they're guys are like full of shit, in my opinion.
Ain't no way they're gonna take it back.
All right. Any last words, Anthony?
MJ's a goat.
I agree.
So,
I think he's the goat. I think he's the goat in every major sport.
yeah, every sport. Yes,
I think he's number 1. But all right, there's our reaction to Jordan versus LeBron, the best GOAT comparison. Yeah.